Imagine for a moment that the world stopped spinning just for you. Imagine that every person you have ever tried to impress, every person whose gaze you feared, and every stranger you've walked past on a busy street suddenly looked away. In fact, imagine they weren't looking at all. Here is a truth that most people spend their entire lives running away from, burying it under layers of social media notifications, expensive clothes, and forced laughter at parties. Nobody cares about you. They don't care about the way your hair looked this morning. They don't care about that awkward thing you said 3 years ago, and they certainly don't care about the silent battles you are fighting in the dead of night. At first, that thought feels like a cold blade. It feels like a void opening up beneath your feet. We spend so much energy trying to be the protagonist of everyone else's story, trying to ensure that we are seen, validated, and remembered. We curate our lives like museum exhibits, hoping for a nod of approval from a crowd that is too busy looking at their own reflections to notice ours. But take a breath and sit with that discomfort for a second. Let it sink in. The weight of the world's expectations is actually a weight you have placed on yourself. The harsh reality is that everyone is the center of their own universe, trapped within the same cage of ego and insecurity that you are. And while that might sound like the ultimate loneliness, it is actually the beginning of the only real freedom you will ever know. Think about the last time you felt truly paralyzed. Maybe it was before a presentation, or perhaps it was the moment before you sent a risky text, or even just the simple act of walking into a room full of strangers. Your heart was racing, your palms were sweating, and your mind was a chaotic storm of what-ifs. What if they think I'm stupid? What if I fail? What if they see how much I'm struggling? You are living in a state of hypervigilance, acting as the director, the actor, and the critic of a play that nobody is actually watching. We are all haunted by the ghosts of other people's opinions, ghosts that don't even have the substance of a shadow. You lie awake at night replaying a conversation, cringing at a stutter or a misplaced word, convinced that the person you were talking to is doing the same. But they aren't. They are lying in their own bed, cringing at something they said to you. We are all ships passing in the night, too worried about our own flickering lanterns to notice if the other ship's paint is peeling. This constant need for validation is a form of voluntary slavery. You have handed the keys to your happiness to a mob of people who are just as lost as you are. You are waiting for a good job or a "you're doing great" from a world that is far too distracted by its own pain to give it to you. This is the modern tragedy. We are more connected than ever, yet we feel more invisible than ever, because we are looking for our reflection in the eyes of others rather than in the depths of our own souls. There was a man once, a man who held the power of the entire known world in his hands. His name was Marcus Aurelius. He was an emperor, a commander of legions, a person who could have had every eye on him at every moment. And yet, in the quiet of his tent on the front lines of a war, he wrote to himself. He didn't write for an audience, he wrote to keep his own mind sane. He reminded himself that everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact, and everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. He looked at the vastness of time and realized that the people who praise you today will be dead tomorrow, and soon after they will be forgotten entirely. He understood that fame and the opinions of others are as fleeting as a cloud of smoke in a hurricane. If an emperor realized that the world's applause was hollow, why do we, in our quiet lives, crave it so desperately? We are obsessed with the uncontrollables. We spend our mental currency on things we can never own. You cannot control what your neighbor thinks of you. You cannot control how many people like your photo. You cannot control whether your boss recognizes your hard work. When you tie your well-being to these external things, you are essentially asking to be hurt. You are building your house on sand and acting surprised when the tide comes in. Start small. Tomorrow, do something for yourself that nobody will ever know about. Don't post it, don't tell a friend. Just do it because it aligns with the person you want to be. Notice the quiet power that comes from having a secret victory. This is how you build a core that cannot be shaken. You begin to detach from the outcome and focus entirely on the effort. If you speak your truth and people misunderstand you, that is their business, not yours. If you give your all to a task and fail, but you acted with integrity and courage, then you have succeeded in the only way that matters. The world sees the failure. You see the character you built in the process. Which one is more real? Which one will you take to your grave? The realization that nobody cares is the greatest gift you will ever receive. It is the key to the cage. It means you are allowed to fail. It means you are allowed to be weird. It means you are allowed to start over as many times as you need to. The pressure is off. You don't have to be a masterpiece for a gallery that isn't even open. You just have to be a human being, navigating the world with as much wisdom and kindness as you can muster. The void that once looked so terrifying is actually just open space. Space for you to move, to grow, and to exist without permission. When you stop looking for yourself in the eyes of others, you finally find yourself standing right where you've always been. As we reach the end of this reflection, I want you to look at your life through this new lens. See the nobody cares truth not as a tragedy, but as your ultimate liberation. The stage is empty, the audience has gone home, and you are finally free to stop performing and start living. You are the architect of your own peace. You are the captain of your own soul. The world's indifference is the silence you need to finally hear your own voice. So walk out into the world today with your head held high, not because you are better than anyone else, but because you no longer need them to tell you who you are. The journey of self-mastery is a long one, and it is a path you must walk largely alone, but it is the only path that leads to a life worth living. Take a moment now to sit with these thoughts. If this conversation sparked something within you, if it made the world feel a little lighter or your heart a little stronger, then reflect on why. What is one thing you can let go of today? What is one opinion you can stop carrying? Share your thoughts in the comments, not for the sake of validation, but to join a community of people who are also learning to find strength in the silence. If you found value in this journey, consider subscribing to continue this path of self-mastery with us. There is much more to explore, much more to unlearn, and a whole world of inner peace waiting to be claimed. Until next time, remember, nobody cares, and that is exactly why you are finally free. Stay strong, stay grounded, be your own light.
Epictetus, who began his life as a slave, understood this better than anyone. He taught that there is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. He knew that even if you are in chains, your mind can be free. But we, in our modern world, have inverted this. We are physically free, but our minds are in chains. We are slaves to the notification bell, slaves to the fear of being canceled, and slaves to the desperate hope that someone, somewhere, will tell us we matter. But the Stoic path suggests a different way. It suggests that the moment you accept that nobody cares, you are finally allowed to care about yourself. You are no longer performing. You are no longer an actor on a stage waiting for an applause that will never be loud enough or last long enough. When you realize that you are invisible to the masses, you gain the power of the ghost. You can move through the world with a light step, doing what is right because it is right, not because it will be noticed. Imagine the relief of shedding that heavy cloak of shoulds. I should be further along in my career. I should look like the people on my screen. I should be more social. Who are you saying this to? To a world that isn't listening? The truth is, the world is indifferent. The stars do not pause for your heartbreak, and the sun does not shine brighter for your success. This indifference is not a coldness, it is a blank canvas. It means that the meaning of your life is not something you find or receive from others, it is something you create. Seneca once wrote that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Think of all the hours you've wasted imagining people's judgments. Think of the dreams you've strangled in their sleep because you were afraid of what they would say. They are a myth. They are a collective hallucination. When you strip away the need for their approval, what is left? You are left with your own character. You are left with your own actions. You are left with the only thing that actually belongs to you, your ability to choose your own path. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It requires a daily, deliberate practice of turning the lens inward. It starts with the view from above. Imagine yourself rising up, high above your house, your city, your country, until the earth is just a pale blue dot in the vast darkness. Look down at all the billions of people scurrying around, all of them worried about their reputations, their clothes, their minor embarrassments. From that height, the things that keep you up at night look like dust. They are nothing. This perspective doesn't make life meaningless. It makes your suffering small. It gives you the space to breathe. When you feel that surge of anxiety when someone doesn't text you back, or when you feel the sting of a cold remark, practice the art of objective representation. Strip the event of its emotional clothing. A text wasn't sent. Words were spoken. These are just events in the world. They only become bad or painful when you decide to label them as such. You have the power to say, "This does not hurt me." Not because you are numb, but because you are grounded in a reality that doesn't depend on them. We must learn to embrace solitude, not as a lonely exile, but as a fortress of strength. Most people are terrified of being alone with their thoughts because they have no inner life to sustain them. They need the noise of the world to drown out the silence of their own souls, but a Stoic finds power in the silence. When you spend time alone, you realize that you are enough. You don't need a witness to your life to make it valid. You can eat a meal, watch a sunset, or finish a difficult project, and the satisfaction can come entirely from within. This is self-reliance. It is the realization that you are the only person you will be with from your first breath to your last. Everyone else is a guest in your life. Why do we spend so much time trying to please the guests while we neglect the host?